Okay guys, we finally made it to the Museo Botero. It's particularly famous for one thing, doing sculptures and pictures of women with really fat asses. So I'm going to fit right in here because big bums are a big thing in South America. You can tell the way forward when the first thing you see in the Botero Museum is the biggest, fattest, chubbiest hand on the planet. So everything's about body positivity these days. If you're a little bit on the chubby side, you're going to love this place. That's what I'm talking about. Juicy. I feel a little bit bad. I turned around and I saw this picture and then I saw what it was called and I burst out laughing. This picture is called the Mona Lisa. I guess it's a matter of taste whether you prefer the Da Vinci version. Apparently Botero is still alive. It comes from the second city of Colombia, Medellin. The studio, and Botero has done a picture of himself. And big bananas too. That's one woman who's trying to pretend that her diet is consisting of fruit and oranges. I don't believe a word of it. She doesn't look happy either though. Bizarrely, her boobs look like they would go and fit those golden breastplates from yesterday. They're the perfect shape. We're saying, who on earth is ever going to fit into these? We found her. She's one of Botero's. Wibble wobble. And even harder to believe, this museum is free. I get Botero. It's a really cool style. It's a lot of fun. It's highly Colombian. Now everybody's heard of Monet. This is a Monet. Now to me that looks rubbish. That's what I'm thinking. Clearly I know nothing. Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot. I never heard of him, but that's a pretty cool picture. Then I'm looking at this and I'm seeing GCSE art project. I've never actually seen a real Pablo Picasso. We've got one right here. He would go to a restaurant and pay for his food with the checks and then do a little doodle on the back of it so he could eat for free because he knew nobody was ever going to go and cash a check that had a Picasso on the back. That was one smart cookie. Anybody who draws boobs where the mouth should be is alright by me. Boobs on the mouth, and here for the nose we've got dick and balls, you see. I would not have guessed that's a Picasso. For sure. I'm guessing this is in his earlier phrase. I'm thinking 4 or 5 years old. Possibly not at the peak of his powers. It's like psychedelic fried eggs. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is like this is the proper Picasso. This is a Picasso sketch. We've got a hairy vagina there. We have a sphincter, and somebody's been playing a serious game of Twister by the looks of it. You can feel the personality of these guys. I like that. This guy's got one thing on his mind, and it's definitely inside that dress. There's even more. We have another floor upstairs. So I've heard that the 80s were basically the worst decade in history for Colombia, and they had the Lugar massacre at the edge of Colombia at this time. This is where the land was, and we can see now through 2000, 2013, up to relatively recent time, this is now where the edge of the land in Colombia is. So you can see slowly but surely, either the tides are rising around the world or the land is being eroded. Either way, make sure you don't invest in any beachfront property in Colombia, because in 5 years, you'll have nothing left. So yesterday we saw the Palace of Justice in Bolivar Square, and this is a representation of just a few days before the tragedy at Armero. People stormed the building, took it over, killed any of the government officials they could, set fires, caused general chaos. Now you might think this is stupid. You've got absolute carnage going in here, people being killed, the building being taken over, the military everywhere. But in actual footage at the time, despite all this chaos going on in Bolivar Square, there was one guy who was feeding the pigeons, and they've even got him represented here. That's absolutely insane. There we have ahead of his time by 40 years. This is the Angry Bird from 1980. Doesn't look happy. And here we have the cross-eyed woman. She's been drinking too much, clearly. This is actually the founder of the FARC movement in Botero style. I don't know if that means Botero is on the side of the FARC.
No.
Rebels or otherwise.
He is definitely
quite the opposite. Okay,
yeah,
I see. Sleeping Venus. I've just never seen anything like that before, a Botero style, Jesus. Okay. Some kind of alien, some kind of owl, but my God, that's striking. That's actually pretty scary. Very sophisticated pose, you know. Like somebody vomited onto a piece of very, very large canvas. I know all I'm doing today is showing my absolute ignorance of art, but I like this one. It's kind of kooky, it's a bit spiky. This, no, I'm sorry, that's a pile of crap. You can't just put a splotch of black in the middle of a picture, stick it on a big thing, whack it in a gallery and say that's art. That's rubbish. I'm sorry if you're out there, Robert Motherwell, but you know, back to school. So everything we have in here is again from Botero's personal collection or part of his actual art, and I've got to say, his bronzes are absolutely spectacular. Oh my god, this is so cool. Dude, I want one of these. This is just so awesome. This is the best bird I have ever seen. That is so Botero. Adam and Eve. Adan in Spanish, and Eva. Adan and Eva. Is this symbolic of the patriarchy, stomping down the females in the world? There's one thing for sure, Botero's got no political correctness about him, thank goodness. I like this cat, man. This guy's got a lot of style. So in the 80s, Colombia had a really, really horrible time. Not just Armero, there were an awful lot of tragedies, killings, earthquakes, and general disruption. And in a town in the south of the country called Popayan, there was an earthquake. And in the first mass of the day in the church, one of the arches fell down, and soon the town was completely squished. This is literally the juiciest pear in the world, the Botero pear. I never guessed that from the street outside it had such glorious courtyards. Check this out, this is an original press from Birmingham. I'm assuming that's, in England. This is one of the original presses used for printing money. It's huge. Coming back to Bolivar Square, we're going to try and finally get ourselves to the cemetery. And here's another llama. Who doesn't like llamas? Okay guys, you won't believe this. I've just actually found that over the counter in chemists in Colombia, you can buy Viagra. 2 sildenafil capsules. And that looks symbolic of both some indigenous woman and a vagina. Pretty certain. Apparently we were just getting scoped out by 2 pretty shady guys. Looked like they might have wanted to try and rob us, but thankfully Manuel was on the case. So we escaped that little situation. It's what happens if you pull your camera out too many times in central Bogota. Okay, so it looks like we just managed to escape the clutches of a bunch of evil Bogota robbers. Apparently they were tailing us for a couple of blocks. Thankfully, Manuel, he's a genius and navigating the area and making sure that we're no longer followed and we're safe. I guess the gringo's the easy guy to spot. So how did you discover all of the tips about seeing who is most likely to rob somebody? You are taught this by your parents, or you see this happening to people?
You just know the looks they got and the way they walk when you're standing, and then they wait for you. They keep their certain distance, but you can spot it.
I was only looking in the one direction, you know, when you get tired after some hours. Pretty easy to let your guard down, you know.
But hopefully nothing's gonna happen.
Just makes you remember that you still have to keep your eyes about you all the time.
All the time, yeah.
But I'm being very confident not to get mugged in a graveyard. This is my home turf, man. You don't mess with me in a graveyard. Apparently we're just going through one of the sketchier neighbourhoods. I gotta be honest, it looks pretty cool to me. Well, nobody's getting killed, nobody's getting murdered, there's police everywhere. It's okay as long as you're not walking down the street on your own, yeah? A bunch of what, sorry? A bunch of hoes, eh?
Yeah.
That's a bit mean. She's just a lovely young lady who likes to express herself. Okay, we're in the hoe neighbourhood now, I get it. They do a lot of gardening down here. This is where you get your hose. This is a really bad joke, man. You have no mass transit system, so you've got to travel quite far to go anywhere, use a lot of calories up. I hear in North Korea, you know, the women find the fat men really attractive because it's indicative that you have some money and influence, so you can get all of the extra food. Here, nobody is fat, you know. So Botero is making all these fat people. Maybe it's like some aspirational, you know, people wish to be like the Botero paintings. Ah, so we are here, yeah?
Yeah, we are here. So
okay. Yeah, it's looking a little sketchier, this neighborhood. The Street of Death. Muchas gracias y adios. I stood up too quickly. I feel lightheaded now. So there's other entrance. Oh, thank God for that. For a minute, after 3 days of trying to get myself to the graveyard, I thought the whole place was closed then. There's another entrance, yeah? I still love these buildings. The art's amazing. Wow. Here we have the phantom machete juggler. If he misses it, he's going to wind up in the graveyard.
o esperamos. Hágale, usted dirá. O cuando diga, hágale, hágale.
Okay, so the guy has agreed to go and give us a little private display of machete juggling. If he gets this wrong, he's going to wind up in the graveyard. We have to wait until the light turns red. This is a common thing in Colombia. You often find jugglers, performers, artists. They wait for the cars to stop, do their performance, try to get some tips, and it's actually fantastically interesting to see.
¿Cómo? ¿Sí? ¿Con esa cámara? Sí, de están chiquitas. Portable, hágale.
Oh, here we go, man.
Como quiera. Como quiera, no hay ningún problema.
Damn.
There you go. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh God, don't get this wrong, buddy.
That's actually
Wow. This guy is amazing. Damn, you know, if this guy was on some, you know, talent show in Europe or something like that, he's going to be famous.
Yeah, for sure.
He's stuck here on a zebra crossing in Bogota. It's so unfair. But, you know, we get him a tip, and this guy deserves some good tips from everybody coming his way. Oh. Woo! Yeah!
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Muchas gracias. Adios. Ciao. How much do you think these guys are earning? Do they get some good tips?
Depends on like the streets, on the art. There was like some study a couple of years ago and some of them could make, I don't know, $1,000 a month. It's not that bad.
I feel a bit cheap after that amazing performance. I should have given him more. So we're just looking for the entrance to the central cemetery at the moment, but this road is crazy. You can buy flowers for the graves, you can buy the gravestones, you can buy caskets for your ashes, or very, very small people who've died, I guess. They've got everything you need for a awesome funeral, I guess. So let's work out how we can get in here. For a minute there, I didn't think we were going to get in. The gates are all locked, but apparently if we wait a second, they're going to let us in. Are we allowed in?
El acceso al cementerio es abierto al público.
¿Para qué visita?
I have my camera in my trousers. We're definitely not allowed to film in here, but I'm going to go and pull some sneaky shots anyway. Okay, so at the moment we are waiting in a queue and we are asking for special permission to see if we can get to the historical center of the graveyard. We're hopefully going to be able to get you to see, you know, some presidents' graves, but mainly our serial killer and our famous brewer from the Bavarian brewery, Leo Siegfried Kopp.
We are gonna ask for our name, like on the walkie-talkie on the radio.
No, it's just so ornate, and each of these individual blocks are dedicated to a single individual family. I'm going to see if I can go and overemphasize the wishes I made this morning at the top of the Monserrate church. If I whisper those things into his ears as well, I have no doubt that they will come true. It's very solemn, it's very eerie. It must be so difficult to find the one individual grave.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
This is like the normal part, as it were. We will be the first people to go and show anyone from the outside world the central, ancient part of the cemetery in which you need special permission to get into. We're very privileged. And I also feel a little bit cheeky because I know I shouldn't be filming this.
There's like another bigger graveyard like outside of the city.
And these are very interesting. In Europe we don't have this style of sort of mass grave where you have the one large building and then everybody's graves on top of each other. I guess when you're in the middle of a big city and space is a problem, you have to find some solution. Okay guys, look, we have just managed to talk our way into the restricted centre. There's nobody else here. Well, actually there's two other guys here. But not everybody is allowed in this place. You have to have a special reason. And I said it's for special intellectual curiosity, which is kind of true.
I think all of these are presidents.
Wow, so here we have all of the presidents of Colombia.
This is president for sure.
For 6 years, from 86 to 99. If you're going to be the big cheese in Colombia, this is where you hope to end up. You can definitely tell that these are slightly more impressive graves than the ones on the outside. Even though I know I shouldn't be filming, I feel a little bit naughty.
No, go ahead,
I do find it quite, you know, quite exciting. I just hope the security aren't going to come in with, you know, machetes and batons.
That's not
Give
gonna
me
happen.
a good kicking. I think I know where Siegfried Kopp's grave is. I think we should try and...
Right?
Hang on. So we go here. I think it's just down here on the corner.
Let's go.
You know this guy made some money in life when he's got a pure gold
Well, I'm not sure if
It may not be pure gold, but you know,
but
it still stands out, doesn't it? So this is the guy who bought some of the best beer to Bogota. We actually saw his house yesterday. Yeah. He was very famous. Now, apparently, I have to go and whisper something in his ear. Do you think I'm going to get in the shits for this? Nobody's watching, though.
Let's wait 1 second.
I think maybe if I sneak quickly up there and whisper in his ear.
Give you one.
Okay.
Give me. Okay, you have like 30 seconds. You have like 30 seconds. Go on. Yeah, go on.
Okay, Leo, Siegfried Kopp. I have to whisper some sweet things into your ears, and hopefully you're going to make them come true and improve my fortunes. So mainly, we want you to make Vladimir Putin a nicer person, and we want world peace, and don't be forgetting my half inch. Okay, it's been awesome. See you later, buddy. See you later, bud.
Okay. We made it. Mission accomplished.
I don't normally go for these superstitions, man, but you never know. If we can make Vladimir Putin a little bit of a nicer person, then maybe we have done the world a favour. All thanks to the power of the legendary Bavarian beer and Mr. Leo Siegfried Kopp. Thanks, buddy. I think this is the reason why you have to ask special permission to come into this region. There is always going to be somebody who decides to graffiti on the side of these ancient graves. Juventual Comunista.
Communist youth.
I have youth of communism. Okay.
Nonsense.
Well, it's not a great advert for the communist youth, is it? I told you today we're going to have to do a little bit of hunting. And is Simon Bolivar buried here?
No, he's like the second president.
Okay. This was the guy who was on the bill that you showed me, and he was the one who came after Simon Bolivar and was chasing him.
Exactly.
I see. So Simon Bolivar frees everybody, then this guy comes and chases him down because he doesn't like his politics. What an asshole.
I mean, they were like pretty close friends.
Okay, let's go and find Mr. Silva. We didn't manage to get into his house. A heartbroken poet decided to kill himself. Okay, let's see if we can go find this guy. This guy's super famous. You know you're famous when you make it onto the currency of the country. Here we go. Jose Silva. Wow. 126 years ago he died. Elvira Silva on the right, Jose Silva on the left. I guess they bury her first and then like leave space for him for when he's ready.
Yeah.
It must be horrible if you have this family, one of these plots saved and then somebody dies young and they have to wait there for like 30 or 40 years or something. Well, there you go, Jose Silva, Colombia's most famous poet. We salute you. Rest in peace. Oh wow,
sure.
Check out the feet. What's going on with that? Oh, I can. Hang on a second. Qui procul domo in flore aetis svae sovita morte interceptus est. Of course. I'm looking for matter. Well, he could be in one of the walls. He could be anywhere on the outside. I'm going to have to put a little bit of effort in. Rafael Uribe. Wow, he's got a serious tash. So, where would you bury a serial killer? It's probably going to be in the worst, most horrible looking grave. You know, you can't give him a big fancy grave for something like this. Would he be buried as his body or as his ashes? It's going to be tricky, but I might get lucky. I always seem to wind up in the right place at the right time, so fingers crossed. He's here somewhere. Hey, for one second I saw the Maza, I thought matter. You know, I went to, there's a famous, real magician, hermetic magician from the Czech Republic, all like the real guys doing proper occult studies.
Okay.
Are, using his works. He's been dead for, 60, 70 years now. František Barden. But I live in the same region. I'm about an hour away from him.
Really?
Been to his graveyard. Couldn't find his grave. It was the literal last grave that we looked at. Had to show proper dedication to try and find this guy.
Okay,
I'm actually going to do a video on this as well, to actually do a little pilgrimage for, the famous occultists.
Yeah.
As part of the series.
Yeah, I get it.
They do actually have some relatively recent people interred here. So, there definitely is a chance that he's going to be in here somewhere.
96.
Buenaventura Nepomuceno Mateana. God blimey, what a name that is. Better known, of course, as Dr. Death or Dr. Matter, was born in September in 1891 and died in the infirmary of Bogota's Modelo prison in 1960. He was a convicted murderer and suspected serial killer. It has to be said, the evidence of him being a fully fledged serial killer is pretty damning. He was tried and sentenced in 1949 for the murder of merchant Alfredo Ferrero Vanegas and was sentenced to 24 years in prison, which at the time was the maximum sentence allowed by Colombian law. It's fair to say our Dr. Matter was a little bit shifty. The scam which led to his descent into murder was pretending to be a lawyer and getting people to sign over their properties under the pretext of doing big business. But as soon as he got that power, 7 of his clients either disappeared or were found dead under mysterious circumstances. 1 or 2, fair enough, could be bad luck. But when you get into the realms of 6 or 7 people, the body of evidence starts to look overwhelming. His trial was long and complicated due to his equally shifty defence lawyer's general deceit in the courtroom and by the weakness of the legal investigation teams of the time. 1950s Colombia was a long way from the CSI and forensic science of today. The trial was so famous and so many people wished to attend that instead of using the normal courthouse, his trial took place in the National Theatre. Gabriel Garcia Marquez said in one of his chronicles that the public hearings that are held in Bogota to judge Nepomuceno Matallana, the famous Dr. Matter, are competing with The Right to be Born. Sounds a bit ominous, but it turns out that The Right to be Born was a super famous play throughout the whole of Latin America at the time, and it's fair to say Dr. Matter's trial was equally famous. Although only 1 murder was absolutely proven, during his trial Dr. Matter escaped twice, once during the Bogota riots in 1948, and the other time I couldn't find any information about, but I did try, which does look a little bit like an admission of guilt. Dr. Matter never admitted responsibility for the murder, but his accomplice, Hipólito Herrera, was convicted and confessed, and then provided evidence for Dr. Matter's part in the killing. With more legal chicanery while serving the sentence in the Panoptico prison in Tunja, Matallana declared that the trial had flaws in the procedures, and as such, a second public hearing was scheduled for the crime of the Calderitas, which was the nickname of the Ferrero murder in Colombia at the time. Before the second trial could happen, though, Dr. Matter died, and that's how he ended up interred in Bogota's National Cemetery, where he remains as one of the most infamous and evil residents. He died from bronchitis and subsequent heart failure, and although we always like to tell the deceased to rest in peace, it's fair to say Dr. Matter probably doesn't deserve to.
That's definitely quite impressive. These guys have made a bit of money, eh? Come on, Pigeon, show us the way. You know where this guy is. Dr. Matter. He's here somewhere. This is the first time I've actually looked for a serial killer and a grave of one. So I'll be a little disappointed if I fail. I just hope we're not going to get crapped on by the rain. Well, I'm pretty pig-headed, if I don't find this guy. One day I'll say, right, I'm going to Colombia. I'm going to find this grave no matter what. President of Colombia, here we go.
Yeah, no, another one.
Another one. And somebody looks like they have done, actually, some occult symbol on him with a little bit of graffiti there. Bottom left shoulder. Or maybe it's just some accidental thing, but looks a little like it.
It's probable. I mean, it used to be a lot more open, but actually, during the years, there have been some sketchy stuff that scares people. That's why they closed it today.
It looks like it's starting to rain now, so I think I'm going to have to admit defeat. I'm a little disappointed, guys. This is the first time that I've ever searched for a serial killer's grave, and it looks like I've been beaten by the sheer scale of this graveyard. And it also looks like we're about to get shat on by a pretty serious storm. Nonetheless, this is absolutely picturesque, absolutely wonderful, and it has so much history here. So it looks like we're going to have to give up on this one today. Got to hide the camera again, or security is going to beat me up. So see you in a few minutes. Wow, guys, we got a serious thunderstorm going on here. We got serious lightning. You'll hear it in a second. We made one final last-ditch attempt to ask the guys at the front desk if they could go and try and trawl through the entire list of people who were interred in the graveyard, and alas, we were unable to find the remains of Dr. Matter. Nonetheless, you've heard his story, pretty twisted individual. One day I'll come back and I will find that grave. Unfortunately, I've run out of time.